Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 168, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. Today is Monday, July 13th. So happy Monday. I love Monday. It's my favorite day out of the whole week. I know I'm really weird, but it's always the day that has the most potential. And I figure if Monday goes really well, that sets the tone for the rest of the week, and it can only go uphill, right? Or maybe it can only go downhill, but having a good Monday is key to my week going well. So anyway, let me just let you know that if you're wherever you're watching this podcast, you can also find it in other places if it turns out that would be a better place for you. This always sounds weird when I tell you this, but you can find it on the blog, which is fibernymph.com. You can find it directly on Blip. You can find it directly on Podcast Garden. I'm also on YouTube and iTunes. So lots of viewing options for you. And wow, my hands are doing lots of things today. I try to always remember to put show notes up on the Fiber Nymph dye work, or on the 90% knitting board in the episode thread on Ravelry. And there is also the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry. So there's two separate groups, one for the podcast and one more for my business. So all kinds of places you can find me. The Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Facebook, or page on Facebook, is a wonderful location to go to look for the most recent announcements, like when there's going to be shop updates or whenever I've put up a new podcast or other random things. And I post pictures of colorways and things up there too. So if you haven't liked that page yet, you might want to do it. Let's see. Let me say hello to some people. We had Carolyn from Colorado, Molly from Georgia, Nikki from Tasmania, which I never knew Tasmania was part of Australia. I thought Tasmania was its own country. I never knew that, so I've learned something this week. And Michelle from New Jersey. They all introduced themselves in the welcome thread on the 90% knitting board, so thank you for doing that. It's lovely to have you all with us. And as of this morning, I looked, and our group is now at 2,099 members. One more member and we get to do a membership milestone drawing. So maybe that'll happen next time. It's always funny when you're really close to a milestone and then a couple people leave the group and then you have to build back up. Or you hit that milestone and somebody leaves the group and then you're below it again. Yeah, whatever. It's just the nature of those groups on Ravelry. So anyway, before I go much further, I'm going to say, hey, you might notice the background's a little different. And you also notice that my hair is flipping out. That's because it's humid today, and I can't do a thing about it. It looked great about a half hour ago, and now just the humidity has made it go. It's a summer thing. I can't help it. So anyway, yes, my surroundings are different. If you watched the supplementary video that I did last Friday, I believe, with the shop update preview stuff, you saw me in a different location also. It was not this location. I was at my dining room table for that one because I have a nice big window in my dining room, and it was a little later in the day, and so that was working. I thought that would work better. It's mainly the lighting. If you've been watching the podcast for a while now, you know the last few have been kind of iffy because I rearranged my office and the lighting has been terrible ever since then, just because of where my desk and my computer is located now. The ceiling light is right above my head, and so I've had to use like supplemental lighting and trying to just offset that horrible glare and all these shadows and nastiness. It's horrible. At any rate, that hasn't been working well. So I thought, okay, for the supplementary episode, I would try the dining room, which I don't think it was bad. I think this is better though. My two biggest windows in the house are the dining room and then the living room here. I'm in my living room, obviously. There's a couch. That's usually where you find couches, unless you have like a family room or a game room. Anyway, I'm in my living room, and my biggest window in the house is directly across from me now. It's on my southern wall of the living room, and so I do get a fair amount of light in here in the morning. Once you're past noon, it's fairly dim in here because the sun's going that way. And so then the dining room becomes the better lit area. The only problem is there's also my front porch. So the porch overhangs these windows, so it cuts out a lot of the light that otherwise would be in here. But still, it's fairly well lit at this time of the day. Plus my front door is right here and I have the main door open, so there's light coming in there. I do still have a couple of extra lights on though, just to try to brighten it up. And I think this looks pretty good, honestly, right now. To me, it does. What I would love from you guys is if you could give me feedback, especially if you watched both the supplementary episode, like with the shop update stuff from the other day. If you watched that one and this one, I would love to hear what you think as far as the lighting from one versus the other, the sound. I mean, the sound I don't think too much is going to change just because it is what it is. I had the ceiling fan running during the supplementary episode, so I'm not sure if that came across or not. I know I was trying to edit out some sort of ambient sound that was there. I'm not sure if it was from the fan or if it's maybe just from my laptop, because I'm using my laptop now. I'm still using my little UBS USB. I always get those letters wrong. Webcam, my Logitech webcam. I'm not using the one that's built into the laptop. But anyway, just let me know, because I've always really tried to have decent quality in my podcast. Now, I mean, obviously it's not like a blockbuster movie, but I still want it to look nice for you guys. I want you to be able to see colors and everything. The only thing that I'm still going to have problems with this week is I still can't do autofocus. So when I'm holding things up, they're going to be a little fuzzy. The colors should be really accurate, but I can't, there is no autofocus feature on this software that's on my laptop. And I cannot, for some reason, get the Logitech software to download onto this computer. I don't know why. I'm going to have to look and see if a disc or something came with it. I'm sure one did. But, you know, usually things just automatically download when you plug things in anymore. It's not doing that with my laptop, and I'm thinking it's probably because my laptop's old, so I don't know. But stick with me, please. Just bear with me as I'm trying to find the right answer to this technical transition period. So okay, hey, the other thing I will let you know is did I just tell you that? Oh my gosh, I can't remember if I just told you we're at 2,099 members. My brain is so fried. I think I just told you that, but in case I didn't, hey, our group's at 2,099 members, so yeah, I think I did. Never mind. Oh my gosh. Let me take another sip of coffee because I might need it. All right. I do have show notes, luckily, because heaven knows what would be going on if I didn't. Yeah, I had to print them out because this laptop screen is not big enough to have both the camera software and my laptop or my notes up, show notes up, the way I can do it on my big screen in my office. So if I have to look down at these occasionally, please forgive me. Alrighty, I've got some knitting to show you. Let's start with that. Actually, I have a finished object to show you. I finished my handbrake cowl. Oh, these colors look awesome. This is very, very true. I'm so glad. Yay for good lighting. This is my handbrake cowl. The pattern is by Dan Jones, and I think Kay maybe was also a part of that. It's hard to tell. So Kay and Dan Jones, they're from the Bakery Bears podcast. And this pattern was gifted to me, but it's being sold as a fundraiser for cancer research. So I would highly recommend purchasing it if you don't have it. I knit this out of my hand spun, and I was really afraid that because my hand spun was pretty nubbly and not consistent, that you wouldn't be able to see the purl motif that runs through it. It's like on a diagonal, but you can totally see it. I'm not sure if you're being able to see it too much on the camera. There, you can kind of see it, but I'm not going the right direction. You can see the diagonals. And in person, you can definitely see them. So I am so happy with this. I did the large version, which was 200 and some stitches to cast on, because I love to be able to cross things over, double them up, This, I'm not doing a very neat job of this. I had it really nice on in the mirror the other day. But you know what I mean. And I can't do this looking in the camera because I'm going in the opposite direction. So anyway, it's nice and cozy, and when I have it on neat, it'll look really cool. But it doubles nicely. It's not too tight. It's not too saggy. It's perfect. I have not blocked it, and I really don't know that I will. I don't think it needs it. The edges, I think I told you last week, I substituted. It was supposed to have a garter stitch edging on the edges, and I ended up substituting seed stitch instead because I prefer seed stitch over garter stitch. So that's really the only modification I made. I used 2 different colors, obviously, of hand spun. They were both from Briar Rose Fibers. This purpley, the darker purpley one, let's see, which one was that? Did I make a note of that? I think this was the Cormo. These purpley parts were the Cormo, and then these 2 bluer parts, they have that same purple in them though, but they're more blue. They were a merino, and I had actually used that merino for another project one other time, so I didn't have as much of it, so that's why I did it this way. And I just alternated because it's a 10 round repeat, so I did the 10 rounds of the seed stitch border in one color, then switch 10 rows of the pattern, 10 rows of the pattern, 10 rows of the pattern, the last seed stitch border, and it turned out great. I love it, I really do. Oh, that's actually pretty crisp right there. I guess if I hold it back near me, that's probably going to be the sharpest you'll get it. So anyway, that is finished, and I used up some hand spun, which is always good. I love knitting with my hand spun. I just don't do it that often. I should do it more, especially because I've been spinning a ton, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So there was that. As far as works in progress, I have made lots of progress. Oops, that's not it though. On the Afghan that I'm making for my daughter. I'm now on the second ball of yarn of all the colors except the gray, and I'm almost ready to wind a second ball of gray too. This is being kept in my Silver Shed moose bag, which I love so much. So cute. Anyway, last week when you saw it, it was at about 24 inches, I believe. I am now at 37 inches, which means I'm officially past the halfway point because I want to make it 72 inches. So here it is. It's getting quite long. Hard to show you, but there it is. And it's funny, I was here on the couch the other night knitting on it, and it was kind of chilly. Oh crap, I just dropped some stitches. Hang on. It was kind of chilly, and so it's now long enough that I can kind of put it over my legs as I'm working on it. It's nice that way. Thankfully, it's not super, super hot. I mean, it's humid and damp. It's more damp, I think, than actual hot humidity, but yeah, it's been really good weather to be working on an Afghan like this summer. So anyway, it is moving along. And if you remember, I think I told you I was trying to aim for 8 rows a day in order to get this done by the time I'm going to be seeing Emma, her birthday week, in August. So I'm keeping up with that. And on the days that I don't get 8 rows done, I make up for it another day. So now at this point, I have 35 more inches to go, correct? I think I have 35 more inches to go. And I have 35 days because my goal is to have this done the Monday of the week that I'm leaving. I'm leaving on a Friday, but I'd like to have it done by Monday. So that basically means doing an inch a day. An inch of this Afghan is 5 rows, which I would never end on a 5th row because that would mean I would be stopping before the purl back row. So I would probably at least still do 6 rows a day. Honestly, I'm still going to keep aiming for the 8 because I would love to get it done early and have time to do the other part that I want to do as a supplement to the gift. Lots of supplementing lately. If you remember, this was what I had started for her Afghan. I was going to do 5 strips like this and then seam them together. But then I went back to the idea of the chevron because that was my original idea. That's really what I wanted to do for her. I had just been really hesitant about knitting the whole width of the Afghan at one time because it is summer, but it's working out great. So I'm not worried about that. But I don't want this to just go to waste, and I don't want to rip it out. So I am going to do one final blue seed stitch section on this side. And then I need to go to like Joann's or something and find a pillow form. Basically, I need to find whatever pillow form will be closest in size to this. I will probably end up doing like some seed stitch edging in the blue on the top and the bottom of this section too. And hopefully it'll work. I just have to find the pillow form so that I know what I'm working with. That will determine how big those top and bottom edges will be. And then what I'm going to do for the back, I'm not going to knit a back. I'm going to do fabric. And I think, oh my gosh, who was doing this? I think it was Andy from the Andre Sue Knits podcast recently. She was showing some knitted pillows that she had knit the front, but she did fabric on the back. I'm almost positive it was her. If it was somebody else, I'm sorry that I'm misrepresenting that. But I'm pretty sure it was her. And they were great, and I thought that is a perfect idea because when I was originally doing this, it was only 4 colors. I didn't have the gray in it. So I think what I'm going to look for is some gray flannel. I want it to be something nice and soft because actually laying on a knitted pillow sometimes isn't the most comfy. You know, you get that seed stitch imprint on your face. So I figure if I did the back in a nice soft, like a gray flannel, it would be comfy to lay on if you wanted to lay on it too, and it wouldn't mess up the knitted side. So I'm probably thinking like if I can find like a print, like a gray on gray kind of print, I will do that for the back. I'm not entirely sure yet how I'm going to construct it, but that'll come as I go along. I usually just do that stuff on the fly. I come up with an idea and it works and it'll be fine. So I would like to get both of these things done for to give her for her birthday when I see her. I'm loving this Afghan though. Absolutely loving it. So good progress. The other thing I have made progress on is my blueberry margarita socks. The yarn is by Turtle Pearl Girl. Oh, that yarn is mine. This is the Fiber Nymph Cozy base that I've been knitting that out of. I know I've told you that before, and I'm sorry. I forget to tell you things sometimes. But the 5 colors I'm using are lime green, magenta, peacock blue, silver gray, and vivid violet. Sorry. So those are the 5 colors for that, and that's out of my Cozy base, which is a superwash worsted. Okay, so this is Turtle Girl. Oh my gosh, Turtle Pearl yarns, soft shell turtle toes base, which is an MCN. It's an Aran weight. It's not an Aran weight, Lisa. It is a sport weight. I originally thought it was fingering, remember, and I was making the sock way too huge. It's actually a sport weight yarn. But anyway, if you recall, last week I had gotten through the heel turn, but I realized that I had made my heel flap way too long, and so I had to rip all that out. So that's what I did. I ripped out the heel turn, I ripped the heel flap back to the appropriate 2 1/4 inch length that matched the first sock, re-knit the heel turn, and then have done the gusset. I'm now done with the gusset. This is actually looking far more blue than it is in person. I'm gonna hopefully I can edit the color just enough to get rid of that blue cast, and I think that's from the natural light because natural light always has a blue cast to it. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I'm now just on the knitting the foot out straight, so I just have however far. Let's see. I would say I'm probably at about 3 1/2 inches on the foot, which means I need to go to 7 inches and then 2 inches for the toe. Although with sport weight, I usually do 7 1/2 inches and 1 1/2 inch for the toe. So I'll have to measure and see what I did on the first sock actually. But it's coming along now, and I really just kind of want to get it off the needles. I love it. It's pretty, and I know I will love wearing them. But they're just plain vanilla socks, and I've had so many problems with them ever since I cast on the first one because, you know, there was the yarn weight that I wasn't clear on because I didn't look and didn't pay attention, and, you know, I just had issues and whatever. But the first one's done. The second one is beyond halfway done. So hopefully I can get that finished up in the coming week. I want so badly to cast something else on. I'm like in major cast-on-itis mode right now. And I think that's probably partly because I like to cast things on when I'm stressed out. And there's like a lot of stress going on in life right now, which who doesn't have stress? But anyway, that's sort of one of my reactions. It's like, must cast on all the things. Something to keep me busy, I think. Distract me from the stressful things in life. But I think the other thing is that the sock and the Afghan are both super easy knitting. You know, the sock is just round and round and round stockinette stitch. And the Afghan, aside from doing what you have to do to get the chevron pattern, it's stockinette, knit, purl, knit, purl. There's nothing really challenging me right now, and I need to do something that's going to be challenging me. But I don't want to take a ton of time away from the Afghan because I want to get it done. You know what I mean? So I'm a little stuck. I do have 2 projects on deck that I'm planning to start sometime soon. So I'm going to show you those. The one I have the yarn for, the other one I do not yet have the yarn for because I'm going to dye it. But the one pattern that I would like to do, and it's been in my queue for a really, really long time, is the Sable Sunset, S-A-U-B-L-E, by Karen Marlatt. And this is a paid for pattern, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, it is like a tank top vest kind of deal. I have not yet decided if I'm going to do it this way or if I'm just going to do this. You can't really tell, but this is lace on the bottom. If I wouldn't just do that in the round and not have it open in the front. I haven't decided that yet. There's pros and cons to doing it both ways. I read through pretty much everybody's project notes who has made this, which I don't always do, but I'm really glad I did on this one because there's a lot of fit issues that people have had and yardage requirement issues that people have had. The pattern is short on yardage for the most part, what I've seen people say, and people have had trouble getting it to fit, like it was turning out way too huge and they've had to downsize and everything. So those were good things to know. But I also found some helpful tips because let me show you the yarn I want to use. And this hasn't been in my stash all that long, but I want to use it. It's the Cassiopeia gradient set from Miss Babs that I got at Maryland this year. It has 5 shades of pink, okay, from this light on down through the darkest. And the darkest one is called Cassiopeia. I say Cassiopeia. Some people say Cassiopeia. I'm really not sure which is correct. I don't think it matters, but anyway, it's that cool constellation that's up at the top of the sky and just kind of turns all night. And it's also on my tattoo over here. Anyway, so I wanted to do this. I did not have enough yardage with just these 5. This is 665 yards, and for the size that I believe I would need to do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It says 3 skeins of 225 yards. So that, it would have been really, really close. After reading the notes about the fact that the yardage requirements in here are, you know, not quite accurate, for most people, I decided I definitely needed to get additional yardage. So I went on Miss Bab's website to see if she had either more of the darker or the lighter, so that I could, you know, add on one end or the other with extra yardage. Well, she didn't have either, but what she did have was the same size skeins in the Cassiopeia, but darker. So this is actually 1 shade darker than the darkest shade in the gradient set. Perfect. Oh my gosh, perfect. And just to be safe, I bought 2 of them. So I will probably most definitely have extra yardage left over from this. Now, the next thing will be dividing this pattern up into the 6 colors because I'd really like the segments to be fairly even. I'm not really sure how I'll do that though. But one of the tips somebody gave, in order to, it was a fit thing, was they did, because this is knit from, I believe, the bottom up. You start with the lace, you go up, and then you join and do the bodice part. But someone had written, at least one person, maybe two, they did a provisional cast on and started with the bodice part, so right above the lace. They were able to do that, and they did all kinds of modifications to make the fit better. A lot of people modified the back because the back neckline apparently just goes straight across the way it's written, and so a lot of people have done it so it's scooped a little, which I will probably do too. But I think if I do it that way, I can work with the lightest 3 colors going that way, and then whenever I pick up the provisional cast on, I can work downward and figure out how long I want to make it, and I'll know how long each of those segments will be. So all 3 color segments may not be the exact same length because the top is probably going to be shorter than the bottom, but at least I can divide that up a little bit more evenly, I think. I don't know if you're following any of that thought process, but it makes perfect sense to me. Excuse me. I just have not gotten around to casting on because I'm thinking that's a whole lot of stitches I'm going to have to cast on provisionally. So I haven't started that yet. Plus the bodice is just going to be stockinette. The only thing that'll be a little complicated will be the fit part, modifying the fit. So I'm not sure that I'm quite there yet with my mind and wanting to deal with that, but I am going to do it because I really, really like it, and I have the yarn, and I think it'll look really cool in a pink gradient. The other thing I really want to make, and this is probably going to be what I'm going to cast on next to give myself a little something extra to think about, is the Scarfluffle pattern, which is published by Not Another Hat, and the author, she doesn't have her name on here. It is Sarah Keller, I think. Sarah Keller. She publishes her patterns under Not Another Hat, K-N-O-T. It's a really cute little scarfy thing, basically, and I know that's not autofocusing, but it's worked short edge to short edge, so you're going sideways. It's not an up and down worked dealio. So it's sort of like the Martina Bem patterns that go from edge to edge. And the nice thing is you can weigh your yarn, you get halfway, and then you start decreasing. So you're increasing, then you're decreasing. It's garter stitch, but it's got a really pretty edging on it that you're knitting as you go. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that. Probably not that well, because again, no autofocus on this software. But if you want to look it up, check it out. It's really pretty. And I don't have the yarn for it yet because I want to do it out of my new Serenity 2.0 base, which is the BFL Bamboo base. The only problem is all of the colorways that I have sitting in the shop right now in that are all some shade of blue, and I don't want to do it in blue. I don't know why. I just don't. I either want to do it in pink, but since I'm going to knit that tank in pink, I don't know if I want to do pink twice. I may do it in an orange, one of my orange colorways, like Total Eclipse. I love that colorway. Or American, it's a butterfly colorway. American something. And it's my colorway, so I should remember it, but it's got a lot of orange in it, so. Anyway, I'm going to dye that yarn up today, so hopefully it will be dry. Probably not by tomorrow. Nothing is drying overnight anymore. Hopefully by the next day, so I can cast that on because I really, really, really want to make that. And I think that will take the edge off of this just knitting malaise that I'm having over the fact that I don't have anything that I have to think about. You know, it'll be just a little bit, a step up from just plain stockinette, that it'll be good. So, okay, that is all of my knitting. And my knitting, on deck knitting. Spinning. Oh my goodness. You know, I'm not doing Tour de Fleece. I had no plans to do Tour de Fleece. I still don't. I'm not officially doing any crazy spinning every day. But I've been spinning almost every day. And I'm spinning a lot. And I don't know why. Because, I mean, I know I go through these phases where I want to spin and spin and spin. Part of it, I honestly think, is the fact that my sidekick is broken. And so it's all, the parts are ordered. I hope they come this week. But anyway, my sidekick's broken, so it's almost like the spinning gods are daring me to spin. Spin anyway. So I've got my Traveler, which I love my Traveler. It's my favorite wheel of the two. But I usually ply on my sidekick because I have the jumbo bobbins for the sidekick. I just have regular size bobbins for my Traveler. So basically right now I have I have a lot of Traveler bobbins, and I'm not saying, I can't rule out the fact that I might go buy some more. I may. You just never know. But I've got 6 of them right now that are taken up with that Shetland Romney. I did do the 6th bobbin, and I'm sorry I did not have a chance. I didn't bring it over to show you, but you saw the other 5 last week, so hopefully you'll remember. But those 6 are sitting there because I definitely want to apply them on the Sidekick. I do not want to end up with like 12 small skeins of that yarn, since it's so much, and it's going to be a lot of yardage. It's a pound of fiber. So those bobbins are out of commission right now. I have one bobbin in my office that has been languishing forever with camel down on it. It's the most boring thing in the world to spin, as far as I'm concerned, because it wants to spin up super, super fine. I've had it for years. I've probably had it as long as I've had that Shetland Romney, because I think I actually maybe bought it at the same show. I know I bought it at a show that same year. It's only maybe like an ounce or 2 of this fluff, but that's what it is. It looks like dryer lint. It's like fluff, like dryer lint, and it spins like cobweb thin. Now, maybe I wasn't as good a spinner as I am now, so maybe I would be spinning it differently if I was spinning it now. And I've been thinking about taking it down and seeing if I could just finish it off, but I just don't want to. Not yet. So basically, I found one project bag in my spinning basket over there that had 4 bobbins in it. 1 was empty. 2 had this really pretty green fiber, which I'm fairly certain is Briar Rose Fiber BFL. I had spun 2 bobbins of it, and there was still some more of the fiber in there. So I think my plan was to do 3 bobbins and then do a traditional 3-ply. I have no recollection of starting that spinning project. I have no idea when I started it. No idea. Anyway, so that was in there, and then there was a 4th bobbin that had just some really weird, bumpy, weird green fiber on it. I have the feeling that might have been some alpaca that I dyed a long time ago and tried spinning, and I hated it. And I just stopped, and I think I threw the rest of the fiber away. It was farm alpaca, and it was not prepped well at all. It was very neppy, and I had dyed it. I don't think I damaged it in the dyeing. I just don't think it was great to begin with. So basically, I just 3-plied that off. So here's what I ended up with the weird, bumpy green fiber. And I don't remember how much yardage I got. I can tell you, though, because I keep all of my yardage stuff on my phone. So let's see. The weird green bumpy fiber. I got about 38 yards. It's probably a sport weight or a DK. I have no idea what I'll do with it, but it's spun and it's off a bobbin. So anyway, then I finished off the rest of the nice, pretty green fiber, and I plied it because I had 3 bobbins of the fiber plus an empty bobbin. So I did do the traditional 3-ply. So I got 2 skeins of that, and I love how it turned out. It's super pretty. And those I ended up with, there's 150 yards on this one, 118 yards on this one. They're both about a sport weight. Those were the traditionally 3-plied, and then there was a little extra left on one bobbin, and so I did a Navajo ply, and there's about 20 yards. Same weight, because it's still a 3-ply, but it's just spun differently. So I've got those off the bobbins. So I'm working with 4 bobbins right now. That's what I have to juggle with. So I've been spinning small quantity things, essentially. So the next thing I pulled out was my fiber stash is out of control. I've got this merino angora that I got from Bunny Patch Fibers years ago. I think 2009 maybe. I think it was. It was a long time ago. I know I spun some of her merino angora a long time ago, and I think I made a cowl out of it. I don't remember that spinning experience. It was back when I was a newer spinner, so if it was an odd experience, I probably just chalked it up to the fact that I wasn't a good spinner yet. But I pulled this out, and this color is the Alexandria colorway. I had purchased 2 2-ounce packages. She doesn't braid it. It's just sort of wound into a coil. two 2-ounce packages, and then she also had thrown in a little extra bit. I forget why, maybe just to be nice or something, I don't know. She's a very sweet person. At any rate, I decided I was going to spin this, but I started with the extra bit just so that I could get a feel for the fiber. I split it in half, just broke it in half in the middle, and then I was going to just spin one part of it on one bobbin, one on the other, and 2-ply it just so that I could get the feel of it. I'm really glad I did that because this wasn't doing it for me. I'm not sure if it's because it is so old and it's been stored, although it has not been stored in a compact method. It is in plastic bags because that's how she shipped it, so I don't know if that had something to do with it, or if it's just the fact that it is so damp and humid right now and the Angora just wanted to stick. And it was not pleasant, and my hands were hurting as I was trying to draft it. So I just did the little bit, and that's what this is. This was that little extra bit that she sent me. This ended up being about 42 yards. I'm going to say it's maybe a light worsted weight. I don't know. And again, I'm not sure what I'll do with it, but I'm probably going to destash those other two packages of the fiber. I honestly don't think it's the fiber that there's anything wrong with. I think it is more just the moisture content in my house at this point in time due to the rain and the humidity. But I just wasn't finding it a pleasant spin, and life is way too short to spin or knit things that you're not enjoying. That is my take on things. So anyway, I finished that really short and sweet. So the next thing I pulled out was I had a set of Giggle Jelly bats. I don't even know if she's still dying. I meant to look that up and I forgot to. But basically they were some of the first little mini things that I remember, mini fiber bats, long before they became like the rage now that everybody is doing them. Well, I'm not, but a lot of dyers are doing them. So they came with 3 little mini bats in them. The total was like a little over 4 ounces for the 3 that I had. They were merino. I know I had purchased another set too, which I had already spun. I can't remember what I did with it. It may still be in my yarn stash. I'm not sure. But I hadn't spun this one yet. So I thought, well, that's easy because I can do each one on a bobbin and then do a traditional 3-ply, yada yada, with my extra bobbin, working within my 4 bobbin limit here. So that's what I did. Merino is not my favorite fiber to spin. These bats were prepared beautifully though. I mean, they drafted wonderfully, and I was just pulling random strips of color because they were very defined strips of color in the bats, but I was just randomly pulling off chunks so that I was mixing colors at random, and I did that for all 3 bobbins, and then I figured I'd get a really nice barber pulling, and I did whenever I did the plying. It's really very interesting. It's funny though, because again, this is something that I purchased quite a while ago. I don't remember how long ago, but it's been at least a few years. These aren't colors that I would be particularly drawn to now. I mean, I love the purple, but it's got this really light seafoamy green in it also. You're probably seeing it more as white, but it's actually a seafoamy green. And a pinkish, a mauve pink, lavendery color, I don't know. So, I mean, I like it now that it's spun, and again, it's a traditional 3-ply, and this I actually spun on my extra bobbin. I had to do twice, but I wound it off and then just left the one on my Nitty Naughty and then tied the second one to it, so it's all one skein. I got about 127 yards of, this is probably like a worsted Aran weight. I'm going to say probably worsted, but anyway. 3-plies definitely cut down on your yardage, your finished yardage. But I like them. They're very balanced, and you can see that one's not jumping around and twisting and everything. So anyway, and then there was a little bit left over on, I think, 2 of the bobbins, so I Navajo plied those. So I've got a little bit of extra 3-ply, and that ended up being, how much? Oh, I didn't count it. I don't know. Not much. Maybe 15 yards. But I think it's really interesting how different the Navajo plied one looks compared to the traditional 3-ply. And I mean, part of that's probably the colors that were left, but still, I just think it's really interesting that it's a very, very different look, even though it's the same weight and still a 3-ply. So Anyway, that's been my spinning. I've been spinning like crazy. And I do have something else pulled out. Like I said, I'm trying to just get a lot of the small amounts of fiber out of my fiber stash right now. So, okay, let's move on to the cow, the alphabet cow. July is in full swing. Oops, sorry, I'm bumping the table with my feet. July is in full swing. We've got letters G through L this month. And, poo, I did not bring... Okay, I showed you the one prize last week. It's going to be my Mega Base in the So Berry Limey colorway. So that is one prize. The $10 worth of patterns by, I want to say her name right because I always end up goofing it up. Melinda Vermeer. I want to say Vandermeer. I don't know why. It's Melinda Vermeer. She's offering $10 worth of her patterns again this month. And we have a third prize that was donated by Danita, who is Inagata Danita. I love that. On Ravelry. Last week I told you she was offering a coupon code, which she still is. But she has Danita's sewing rack on Etsy, and she does project bags. So she has donated one of her project bags, which I do not have the bag. She's going to send it directly to the winner. But I have a picture of it, so I will insert it here in the podcast so that you can see what it looks like. It's really, really cute. So thank you, Danita, for that lovely donation of a prize. That was so kind of you. So anyway, please continue to post your finished objects in your one thread. And you know, I didn't say this last week, but if you aren't sure if you already have a thread, a finished object post started in the No Chatter thread, when you go to post again, if by your name after you post it, it shows anything more than a number 1 by your name over on the left, that means you already have a post in that thread. So delete that one, go find your first one, and just add your project to that, because that's how we're doing that. Again, if you still have questions about the rules and how this is working, the guidelines, don't hesitate to ask me. I haven't checked that thread lately to see if there's anything major going on as far as problems with people posting, but I think it's been okay. So anyway, in addition to that, I want to do a random giveaway. Because I've been going through a lot of my hand knits, and there are certain things that I'm never, ever, ever going to use for one reason or another. Like I knit them as a challenge, or I knit them as part of a project, and it's just not something I'm going to use. So I have this pair of mittens. They are much pinker than they're showing up. They're showing up kind of purple. They're not quite that magenta-y purple. They're a pink, which again, whenever I edit, hopefully that will come clean. That blue cast will come off and you'll see it better. But these are the Fairies in the Hollow mittens by Kirsten Kapoor. I knit this as one of my Camp Loopy projects when I did Camp Loopy the very first year they had it. But I used Spud and Chloe sweater, which is like 45% cotton, and they're just not good mittens for me. They're not going to be warm enough because it gets really cold here. So, but they're really cute mittens, and I love the pattern, and I would love somebody else to be able to get some wear out of them. So I am going to put these up as a giveaway. If you would like a pair of Spud and Chloe mittens that I knit, you can enter that. And along with that, I'm going to give away a little bag. I've got tons of project bags, tons and tons and tons, but the ones I've been purchasing now are much bigger. I've got a huge stash of these little tiny sock size bags, because that's what I used to buy all the time. This one I actually got, I won as a prize at the ZK retreat last year. I wasn't there this year. But this is a little project bag by Prairie Bagworts. It's got cute little socks on the clothesline. The motif is adorable. And this pretty little striped inside, and a nice beaded zipper pull, and a nice handle for your wrist. It's a perfect bag. It's just so I don't use tiny bags like this anymore. I just don't. And it's going to languish in my bag stash, and I really want somebody who likes this size bag to be able to get some use out of it. So I am going to include both of these items in the drawing, and whoever wins will get them both, and hopefully you will love bags and mittens. So I'll put that thread up as soon as I'm done recording. Okay. Let's see, what else? New things. I've got nothing this week. I was pretty good, didn't buy. Actually, that's not true. It's just not here yet. You'll see it next week. I do have some new to me podcasts to mention, though. I've been watching a lot of newer podcasts lately. So there was Cozy Crafting with Abby, Knitting in Stitches with Moira. I believe it's Moira. She, I think, had taken a big break in podcasting because she's pregnant and was not feeling well for a really long time. So she had a new episode last week, which was cool because it was funny. I had subscribed to it on YouTube at some point and I didn't realize that she wasn't recording. And so when this one popped up, I'm like, that's weird. I've never seen that one before. So it was fun to watch. The Bookish Stitcher podcast with Jeanette. All You Knit is Love with Leah. And Leah is from France, and she's got a very, very strong French accent, and she's adorable to watch. I just have to really pay attention when I'm listening to her sometimes because I have to hear what she's saying. She does it in English, but because her accent is really, really strong, sometimes it's harder for me to understand. But I've enjoyed the episodes that I've watched of hers. And then lastly, the Pen, Hook, and Needles podcast with Talia and Marlicia. I've heard about this podcast forever. I can't believe I never watched it until now. So that was kind of crazy. But I got to watch a couple of those episodes, and that was fun too. And that kind of segues in with the next thing I wanted to mention. They are doing a cardiac read-along cal. They just got done doing their autism awareness cal. Well, now they're doing a cardiac read along, because if you know, red is the color for cardiac awareness. I'm not sure if it's specifically women's heart health. I think it is, maybe. At any rate, cardiac issues are close to my heart, no pun intended, just because my dad passed away due to complications with some cardiac related issues that he had. And I've had some minor issues, nothing super serious, but it's something that I'm very aware of. And so I just wanted to pass on word about their knit along. I'm gonna take part in it in some way. I haven't decided yet. I did donate a prize for them. But anyway, they're being co-hosted by Tanya Marie from The Sampler Girl and Kenneth from The Turbo Knitter. I have not gotten to watch The Turbo Knitter yet. He's on my queue, though. I'm going to be watching him. And Packy Knits Designs. She has her own group now on Ravelry as well. And that's Heidi, who's Packy Knits 1. I'm not sure. I don't know how it all works, but they're all doing a cardiac red knit along. So check out any one of their groups, find out that information, and take part if you would like to. So that is everything for the 90% section. Let's talk 10%. Rain. I'm just gonna die soon from the rain. I'm probably gonna get mold growing on me or something. It's so freaking wet. Freaking wet. And I know you're getting tired of hearing me say that. I say it every week. I've been saying it every week for the past at least 6-7 weeks now, because that's how long it's been raining. It's not raining at the moment, but give it time. I went shopping the other day. I don't do a whole lot of just fun shopping. I'm practical and I don't buy a lot of just silly stuff. Well, I still didn't buy silly stuff, but I went clothes shopping. Like, I actually got some new clothes, and I got some stuff for some house projects. I'm rethinking my indoor painting projects, which I think I told you last week. I was going to replace doors and like my inside doors and everything. I have this new idea of spray painting the current doors, because I hate painting wooden doors with a brush. I just hate it. I hate it. So I bought some spray paint, and I'm going to give it a try, probably like in my closet door in my office, just to try it out, see how it works. If it works well, great. I can paint these doors and save myself some expense, since my outdoor projects are the ones that I'm spending a lot of money on this year. And I can still paint, and everything will look fresh and new and wonderful. So I did that, and I bought some little things at Lowe's just to do some small projects around the house that I've needed to do. But I didn't have this or I didn't have that, so now I have the things, so I can do those. What else did I buy? I'm trying to think. I mean, I bought a cute tank top. and a little sundress. I mean, it's not like major shopping. I didn't do huge major shopping, but it's really hard to go into Target and only buy the things that were on your list, because the things that were on my list was bed sheets. I needed a new set of sheets, and I did get them, and they're pink. And I forget what the other thing even was that I was going into Target for. See, that's what happens with Target. You go in and suddenly, like, your brain is overtaken with must have, and you end up buying stuff that you didn't plan on buying, and half the time you leave and you didn't get what you went in for to begin with. At least I do that. There was a really funny YouTube video about that. I'll try to find it and post it in the show notes, the link to it. But anyway, yeah, so Target and we had fun the other day. Did I go anywhere else? Grocery store. But I like grocery shopping. It's like a legit reason to spend money because it's groceries. Although I did buy nail polish. That's pink. I haven't used it yet, but I will. And it's sparkly. Like, I actually bought pink, and then I bought a sparkly pink that's going to go over top. I don't know what's with me in nail polish lately. But anyway, I did that. Rethinking the indoor projects, which I told you about. There's, like I said, a lot of stress, which it's like ongoing. Everything's stressful anymore. I'm doing okay with it, though. But we have had some interesting changes going on personally here. And I've tried, in recent months, really, really hard to be careful how much I share on the podcast. Not because I don't want to tell you guys things, but I realize that there are certain things that go on in my life that, even though they affect me in certain ways, they're not so much my stories to tell. They belong more to other people. And I'm trying to be more cognizant of that, and to not infringe upon other people's privacy, I guess, would be a good way to put it, for a lot of reasons. I just think it's respectful in a way. It was different when my kids were younger, and I could tell you crazy stories about my kids or whatever, or family stuff, but I'm just trying to be a little bit more aware of what I say. I can tell you, however, this past weekend, due to some not so wonderful circumstances for him, my middle child, my youngest son, moved back in with me. You might remember that he moved out shortly after my husband and I, well, my ex now, separated a couple years ago. He was not doing well with that, and he and I were not getting along very well at all, and it was just better for him to move over there. Full circle now. It's not a very good situation for him over there at the moment, for a number of reasons that I'm not going to go into. But right now, he and I are in a really good place with each other. And so I'm kind of hoping that this will be a second chance for me to be more, not of a parent. I mean, he's 20 years old. He doesn't need his mommy. But, he was the middle child. And what they say about middle children, I think it's true. They kind of get the short end of the stick. I had an older one who was running wild and doing crazy stuff that I was always trying to, take care of. Then my daughter, who was younger, she wasn't a problem, but she had her health issues with the Crohn's and, all that. And so Chris was kind of stuck there in the middle. And he had his own issues just because he's always been a quirky kid. He marched to the beat of his own drummer from day one. And in a lot of ways, he's very much like his dad. So that's why it seemed good that he was with his dad for so long. But that's actually kind of working against them right now, I think. And so I'm really glad that he's here. It's making me happy to have kind of a roommate. It's more roommatey right at the moment. I mean, granted, we're only a few days into it, but we've been able to have some good discussions. And I think I might just be the person who's in a better place to help him get through some stuff right now. So fingers crossed. If you're the praying type or want to send some good thoughts our way, would appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. Same way. There's a couple of people very, very close in my life that I'm not going to name outright. Sorry, fiber in my nose. Who are going through some really, really hard stuff right now. And again, that's one of those things that's affecting me because I care so deeply about these people. But it's not my story to tell, and at this point, I'm not going to go into it. It's been really, really hard on me, though, to have to sit back and just watch these things go on and not be able to do anything to help them. I would love one day to be supreme ruler of the universe, just for one day, that I could fix everybody's problems. But I can't, and nobody has offered me that job title yet. And so anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. But it's been a rough period, and it's just, you know, sometimes I wonder about the timing, because that stuff's going on, and now suddenly Chris is back here. Did that happen for a reason? I believe everything happens for a reason, even down to the timing. So maybe the timing of him being here is good in the fact that it'll help keep me from obsessing about these other things that I can't take care of. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on right now. But I'm trying to remain positive and not get all freaked out about things. So anyway, as far as shop news, there was an update on Sunday, yesterday at 4 p.m. There's still a good bit of stuff in the shop, so if you want to check it out, go ahead. I did end up adding some extra things to the shop that I had not put in that supplemental video, only because I kind of forgot that I had them. I have this box in my office that I toss things in when I have extras or odd bits that need to go in an update, but they're not really intentional update items, and I hadn't put those things in the update for a while. So I went through and I did that with a lot of that stuff. And two of the things I wanted to show you now, because they are still in the shop, and I just want to talk about them. I described them in the shop listing, but I think it might be easier to explain them in person. These are two one-of-a-kind skeins that were the result of me just experimenting with a new dye technique a couple of months ago. And I really liked the outcome. There's something that I will never be able to repeat. So anytime I do these, they're always going to be one-of-a-kinds. But the thing is, they turn out, the color turns out sort of weighted. You can see on the inside of this skein, it's lighter, and the outside is darker. And that is how this will work out. As you start from one end of the skein, and you'll see it as if you wind it into a center pull ball, it will go from lighter to darker. Not in shade so much, but in the amount of dye that is in the yarn. The shade is pretty consistent throughout. There's just more dye on the one end than there is on the inside. So these skeins would definitely work better for shawls or cowls or scarves or things that you can use a gradient. If you were doing these in socks, you would have two different colored socks. One would be darker, one would be lighter. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying know that if you do use this for socks, and these are both my bounce base. But the same way with this one, which is like a pink and purple and gray. The other one was green and just greens and gray. And there's a lot of, especially on the inner side that's lighter, the natural color of the yarn. So that is kind of interspersed throughout. This was a really fun technique to play with, and I can't even begin to explain it to you because it was something I sort of made up on the fly. But I liked it. It was fun. I want to do more. I just have to figure out the best way to explain them so that people know what they're getting. So I may start doing what I do with actual gradient yarns, because these aren't meant to be gradient yarns. They just end up that way. And I may end up winding these into center pull balls just to put in the shop so you can see what you're getting color-wise. But anyway, I have not scheduled the next shop update yet, but there will be another one before the end of July, to be sure. I'm finishing up some wholesale orders right now, some special orders, and those really need to take precedence just because the weather and the drying times have not been my friend as far as getting this one wholesale order done, and I need to get that finished. So that's taking precedence right now. If you've got special orders that you're waiting for, those are on track as well. They are taking closer to the 6 weeks, and I'm sorry about that, but that's why I give a range. But I'm pretty much on track with those. What else? Oh, I'll have a new, very exciting colorway in the next shop update. I'll just tease you with that for right now. But anyway, I will record before the next update, so you'll get to see things. I think that's everything. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to hopefully get this processed and get the blue cast out of my colors. And again, let me know your feedback on the quality of these last two videos, this one and the supplemental video. Because I'd really like to know what you're seeing. I know what I'm seeing, but I want to make sure it's close to what you're seeing. So, all right, that's everything. Have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.